Hi, and welcome to another episode of The Tyranny Show, where science meets curls and healthy hair is always goals. On today's episode, I'm going to be covering 5 things you didn't know you should be doing when wearing a protective style or wearing braids. So these are 5 things you don't think to do when you have a protective style, because you're like, hey, my hair is braided up, my hair is in a style. I don't need to do any maintenance. I don't need to do absolutely anything to my hair because it's in a protective style. But these are the things that you actually need to do if you're focusing on growing healthy hair, and if you want your protective style to do exactly what it's supposed to be doing. Protect the hair so that when you take out your braids, your hair will be healthy, flourishing, and not dry, brittle, and breaking. And if you weren't doing these things and you notice that you've been wearing braids for a while and your hair is still the same length, it's not growing, you've had in protective styles and you just don't know what is the issue or what's the cause, these 5 tips will help you figure out what it is that's causing your hair to still be dry, damaged, breaking, and brittle, and not growing even when you've been wearing a protective style for months. So let's dive into it. Number 1, deep conditioning before and during protective styling or braids. I know that sounds crazy. Yeah, deep conditioning before, of course. When I take out my braids, I'm gonna deep condition my hair. Of course, definitely that makes sense. But deep conditioning my braids when I have in braids, that doesn't make any sense. Let me break it down why you should deep condition your hair when you have in braids. So yes, you should deep condition your hair even if the braids are in. Why? Because your hair is intertwined within the protective style or in the braids. So what that means is your hair is still being exposed to sunlight, it's still being exposed to the air, and it's getting drier and brittle, especially if you didn't deep condition your hair before you put in braids. So what that looks like is your strands are being starved of moisture and hydration. And we know that without moisture or hydration in your strands, it's going to cause them to be weaker, drier, brittle, and break. And that's why you're not retaining length after you take out your braids, because you weren't maintaining your hair while it was in its protective style, right? So because your strands still need moisture to prevent breakage and dryness under the style, use something, that's rich, that's a rich deep conditioning treatment. You probably don't want to use a protein deep treatment. I would say use a protein deep treatment like our honey ginger protein deep treatment before putting in your braids to give your hair the strength it needs for braids. And when you are going to do your deep conditioning treatment, or when you're going to do your deep conditioning treatment while you have in your braids, use a fatty deep treatment like our banana nut and avocado deep treatment. So these are like 2 instances, like what type of deep treatment you would use when you have in a protective style. Protein deep treatment before you put the braids in, just to strengthen the hair. And I would recommend using a protein deep treatment after taking out your braids to just give it more strength, more nourishment. But while you have your braids in, you want to focus on moisture, moisture, moisture. And what that looks like is using a fatty deep treatment like our banana nut and avocado deep treatment. So it's easy. Apply your deep treatment to your hair, so to the scalp, to the roots. So this is the new growth that's coming in. But before you do that, in case you didn't know, you need to shampoo your hair first, right? So shampoo your braids. Yes, I'm saying clean your braids. You've been sweating, you've been doing a lot of stuff. There's probably product buildup, bacteria, and they probably smell, right? Let's just be 100, especially if you're somebody who likes to work out. You're sweating, the braids are getting all of that, absorbing all of that sweat and, bacteria. You out in the sun, your braids probably has some chlorine in it. It probably has some of that sea salt in it as well. So you want to be shampooing your braids. So you would first shampoo your hair, then apply the fatty deep treatment. Apply it to the roots first, because your new growth, that's coming out. You want to keep your new growth healthy. And this is exactly how you retain length. You're strengthening the new growth that's coming out, but you're also maintaining your ends, so the older parts of your hair. So you would put it on your scalp and your new growth, and then wherever you know your hair stops. So for example, my braids, my hair probably stops like right about here. So wherever you know your hair kind of stops, what you want to do is you want to take the deep conditioning treatment and just lather it over the braids. This will also help the braids to be a bit more shiny, so they don't look dry and dull, depending on how long you've had them in. So you'll do that like you would normally do a deep conditioning treatment and leave it on for 15 to 20 minutes or however long you want to leave it on your hair. So that's number one. You want to deep condition before, during, and after braids if you want to retain length. And if you haven't been retaining length, this is probably why, because you have not been deep conditioning your hair. You heard it here first, okay? No one else is giving this kind of advice that I'm giving. Deep conditioning your hair during braids. So if you hear this again, you know you heard it here first on the Turning Show. Number two, keep your scalp nourished. This is very, very important, because if your hair is in a protective style, that means that, you know, you're gonna have new growth, and you need to keep your scalp nourished so that you're gonna have a better chance of having healthy new growth, because we know the scalp is the soil of the hair, and you know, the hair strands are the plants if we think about a garden. So if the soil is dry, cracking, brittle, breaking, then the plants aren't going to grow properly, or your hair isn't going to grow properly. So we want to keep our scalp nourished. So focus on scalp care when you have in braids. And a great part of scalp care is shampooing the hair. So you've already shampooed your hair because you're going to do your deep conditioning treatment, right? So that's done, the cleansing part of your scalp care routine. A dry scalp, we know, leads to flakes and itchiness. If you have braids in and you notice that, you know, your scalp is flaking or you're scratching a lot, that's a sign that you need to do a shampoo, right? Or you can also, after you've done your shampoo and you notice that it's still itchy, you can also use a light oil blend. We have a great one. We have our Bahama Glow hair and strengthening oil. It's made from castor oil, mango oil, moringa oil, and jojoba oil. Very good pure oils that you can place on the scalp to help keep it nourished, right? So always keep your scalp nourished. Another thing that I love to do when I have in braids is every single morning I get my water bottle, my spray water bottle, and I spray my hair. I open up, you know, I lift up the braids and I spray the water in the hair so that my scalp is nourished, and also my hair gets hydration. So do that. You want to do that. You can do that every single day or every other day. It depends on you. But you want to make sure that you are taking care of your scalp and you're noticing anything that's happening. A good thing about having braids too is that your scalp is exposed to the sun and it can breathe better, because you know, braids, they're parted and you can see the scalp is exposed. So that's really good for getting sun, a little bit of sun in there, and your scalp can breathe better. For example, we do know that scalp is the same as skin, right? And it's good that your skin is not covered sometimes, not too much sun exposure, right? But the scalp usually doesn't get any sun exposure because it's usually covered with hair. A good thing about braids is the scalp is exposed a bit so it can get some nutrients, you know, just from being exposed in the sun. So I hope that I explained that correctly and you understand what I'm talking about. So that's another good thing about having braids, is that your scalp is able to breathe. Number 3, hydrate your hair regularly. I just talked about this. Spritz your braids or your hair with water, or you can also add a little bit of leave-in conditioner into your water bottle and then spray the hair with water and a leave-in conditioner just to give it that shine and nourishment into your strands, right? Another thing I also would recommend, if you want to make sure your braids are shiny and that the flyaways are laying down, grab a curl enhancing foam. Our tropical curl enhancing foam is a great option. You just pump a few pumps of the foam in your palms and then rub it down your braids. This foam, and this is it here. So this foam is made with hibiscus, rice water, and flaxseed oil. Really good ingredients for nourishing the hair, nourishing the braids, and also it will tame frizz and your hair will look fresh. So it will give you a more fresh and renewed look. So you want to, if you don't want to use a leave-in conditioner in your water bottle, spray the hair lightly with water and then apply a foam to nourish your strands. So that's number 3. So number 4, you want to protect your hair at night. Yes, I know. I have in braids. Why do I have to protect my hair at night? Listen, we still need to protect our hair if we want our braids to last longer, right? So what I do is every night I put my hair up in a ponytail and then I put on my curly bell satin bonnet, right? That keeps my hair looking fresh, staying fresh, and it also causes the moisture to stay in longer. So all the shine and the moisture I'm getting from the tropical curl enhancing foam or deep conditioning my hair and putting water on, spraying water lightly on my hair, it's gonna stay in at night because I'm gonna protect it with a satin bonnet. So even though you have in braids, still wear your bonnet. It will keep the style looking fresher longer and it will keep moisture in your hair. Another thing I'd like to do for my edges is I will spray them lightly with water and then I would put on our Miracle Scalp and Edge Treatment Gel, which is made from biotin, fenugreek, and keratin. This strengthens the edges and my edges, guys, are flourishing like no other, right? I put that on and then I put I tie my satin scarf around my head so that my edges can lay down. So these are all things you still need to be protecting your hair at night. You still need to be hydrating your hair even if you have in a protective style. This is called maintenance, hair maintenance, and this is what will allow you to retain length. Okay, number 5, it's the summertime. These are summer tips. These are things you didn't know you needed to do. We usually wear protective styles during the summer. If it's not the summer, this still applies. Number 5 is avoid excessive sun exposure. UV rays can dry out the hair and cause color fading. So wear a hot scarf and UV protectant sprays on sunny days. That's another thing. If it's the summer and you have in your braids, right, and you haven't been doing this, you haven't been deep conditioning, shampooing, nourishing, hydrating your hair, and you're just out in the sun and it's just getting your hair is getting so much sun exposure. It is drying out your hair more and more and more. So if it's the summertime when you're watching this video and you haven't braids, you need to be doing these steps because your hair is more susceptible to being drier and breaking during the summertime if you're not restoring the moisture and hydration into your strands. So I hope that this was helpful to you. 5 things you didn't know you needed to do when you have a protective style like braids is number 1, you need to deep condition your hair. Deep condition your hair before and during braids. I know that sounds crazy. Before your braids, you're going to use a protein deep treatment like our honey ginger protein deep treatment to strengthen the strands. During your braids, you're still going to deep condition your hair, but you're going to use a fatty deep treatment because what this is going to do is it's going to allow your hair to be nourished and moisturized and hydrated. If you've had in a protective style for a long time and your hair is not growing, you're not retaining length, this is why, because you have not been deep conditioning your hair or your braids while you have them in. So what that looks like, shampooing your scalp, shampooing your braids first, applying the deep conditioner to the scalp and to the new growth to strengthen that, and then applying the deep conditioner down the braids wherever you think your hair stops. So if your hair stops here, you want to apply the deep conditioner to the braids there and rinse it out. Leave it on for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, and then rinse it out. Number 2 is keep your scalp nourished. Scalp care is skin care, and you only gonna have new growth or retain length if your scalp is healthy. You want to make sure you're spritzing your scalp, you're paying attention to your scalp, spritzing it with water, but you're paying attention to the condition of your scalp. That's why you need to be shampooing your hair when you have in a protective style. So shampoo your hair and pay attention to your scalp. use a nice oil on your scalp, like our Bahama Glow hair and scalp strengthening oil. It's made from jojoba oil, castor oil, moringa oil, mango oil. Really good oils for nourishing the hair and the scalp. Number 3, hydrate your hair regularly. What that looks like when you have it in a protective style is just getting a spray bottle of water and spraying your scalp and spraying the braids, spraying your hair. Another way you can hydrate your hair is using our tropical curl enhancing foam, which I mentioned earlier, and this is it. This is made from hibiscus, rice water, and flaxseed oil. It's easy to apply. Just put a few pumps in your palm and then rub it down the braids. This will hydrate your strands, but it also will hydrate the braids. So the braids look shinier. They, they look more radiant, and this tames frizz. So a great option. And number 4, even though you have in braids, you still need to be protecting it at night. Why? Because if you're not protecting your hair at night, your hair is not going to look as fresh as it could, right? Let's be honest. But also, when you protect your hair by wearing a satin or silk bonnet at night, it's going to cause your hair to retain moisture. So you're not going to have the friction with your cotton, pillowcase or whatnot. Your hair is going to retain moisture. And number 5, avoid excessive sun exposure, because your hair, if you're not doing any of these steps, you're not deep conditioning, you're not hydrating, your hair is going to be, fried. Like even if you're going to wear your braids for like 2 months or whatnot, think about it. You've had your braids in for 2 months. You haven't been washing, deep conditioning, or hydrating daily. When you take those braids out, your ends are going to be fried and you're going to have to trim them. And that's why you haven't been retaining length when wearing a protective style, right? So all of these tips make the most sense if you want to retain length when wearing braids or a protective style. I hope that this was helpful to you. Have a great day. Oh, and also leave me a comment. I want to hear from you. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me if it was helpful. Tell me if you like it. If you didn't like it, keep it to yourself.